Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Thousands of years ago, a puddle of slime had a bad dream, and from that slime crawled human beings, and from that bad dream grew the curse of sentience that has plagued humankind since that first slimy birthday. Now, in the distant cosmos, the ballad of humanity's folly plays out. A race of beings obsessed with their own destruction, and with making movies about the future. Bad movies about a stupid future. Ballads and tales and fables and prophesies of the year 1998.
Come in. Come in.
Did it work?
Past.
Did it work, Future Dave?
I think it did, Future
Are
Tom.
we
I think we got
transmitting?
them. We're transmitting once more.
Hello, the past.
Oh my goodness.
If you can hear us, say something. Write a note into the carve a note into the floor of this Blockbuster. I'm not sure what city we're in, but I'm sure you'll know.
Well, it's a Hollywood video, Tom.
That's right, a Hollywood
Future
video.
Tom.
Fuck. I hope they did. Okay, I hope they hear this part of the transmission. So
Yeah.
if they did, then a message should appear on the floor in front of us any minute now, Dave. Future Dave.
Okay, let's just... you sons of bitches.
Is that a dick?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Of course it's a dick. Of course it's a dick.
Sweet.
Hey, folks, listen. It's Future Dave and Future Tom. We're here from the future year of 2023. And if you're just joining us, we've been trying to figure out how to fix the past. And I don't know, get home? Is getting home a thing? Are we quantum leaping? I don't think we're quantum leaping.
I don't think that's in the cards for us, Future Dave. I think the best we can hope for is to try to report back to the past to prevent our future from ever happening, Dave.
Right.
So if we do this properly, Future Dave, we should cease to exist.
Right. Okay, that's what we are going for. And Future Tom, I'm sorry to say that we are running out of fuel, which means this is probably going to be our last broadcast for a while, which means this is it. We have to fix the future, fix the past, fix the future by fixing the past.
Yeah. We have to save
with-
the future by saving the past.
Right, and there was just one more VHS tape in this return box. And boy, we got a little bit of a surprise with this one. A few surprises. And I think it's going to be good for us. Because let me tell you, so we grabbed this VHS tape, which has the return box from, it says Marco from the movie Omega Dune on the slip. This copy of Neon City, weirdly enough, had a Scanner Darkly in it. I don't know why.
I'm not sure. I guess somebody messed up. I guess Marco put the wrong tape in there.
I guess, but it's kind of from the wrong era that we were going with. This is 2006, A Scanner Darkly. So we went ahead and watched that, and it's like, everything's against us, right? This ups the stakes because it's not really a movie that might help us fix the past.
It might be too late
But
at this point, Dave. We
also,
failed to destroy the future in order to save the
yeah.
past.
But what was also wild, it was stuck in the return box, and we found that it was attached to a hand.
This is the darndest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the hand was attached to an entire skeleton that we dragged out of that return box. And so I can only assume, Marco, this is your skeleton?
Yeah.
I guess carve a dick in the floor if that's true. I don't know if that's how that would work. But we got
wait. There's something
bones.
showing up. There's something showing. There ain't no way that's my skeleton. Oh, I have some bad news for you, Marco. You see, at some point in your future, you got bone tattoos. It's a huge fad. You guys will run into it eventually. And you got the bone tattoo right here at the base of your elbow. It says Marco from the movie Omega Doom. So it's you.
It's right
I'm
here.
sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
I'm licking it right now.
But you meet your end in a Hollywood Video return box. Maybe you were seeking shelter from the nuclear fire. I don't know.
Maybe the rats got you.
Maybe the rats got you. Maybe the rats chased you in there and you starved, which is, man, sorry for you.
There's no way to know. I mean, there is an arrow sticking out of your skull, but there's no way to know for sure what happened.
It looks like you may have been bisected. You may have been chopped in half.
Yeah, but
that could just be
your
time.
Misfortune. Yeah, your misfortune is our gain. Because I got to tell you, folks, bones are great.
Things here around the Hollywood Video have been humming right along ever since your bones danced into our lives, Marco.
That's a drying rack for our clothes. We used your skull as. Yep, we used your skull for so many things. We smoked out of it, obviously.
Obviously, that's the first thing we did. But also, we noticed that we don't have a toilet, so problem solved. We also don't have any coffee mugs.
Yeah,
problem solved.
Yeah, we have no mates. No mates. So guess what? We do now. We
sure
have
do.
your skull. Your skull is so many things to us.
And all you need is just a little bit of rat blood, and your skull becomes a tender lover, Marco.
Exactly. So thank you, Marco, from the movie Omega Doom, for your skull. We love
so
it.
Much
we love your skull.
Paintbrushes. I made a flute out of one of your bones.
Oh yeah. Earplugs, your little toe bones. Those are good earplugs.
Yeah.
There's so many uses for your bones. And hopefully for a Scanner Darkly. Because once again, we're running out of rat corpses that fuel our generator. So
yeah, it's a terrible technology, but the plus side is that our Hollywood Video always smells like homey burned rats.
It's
a real homey, folksy, comforting smell.
Yeah, it's like fall time in New England.
Just incinerated rats as the leaves change.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about A Scanner Darkly from 2006. We're going to talk about the plot, and then we'll talk about the world itself, what the future world is, and the style of that world and the technology of that world. But first, we're just talking about the plot. This is from fucking Richard Linklater. Tom, had you seen this movie in your past?
It's like
when the civilization.
It's like Pumpkin Spice, but with dead rat.
Right.
Like a subtle hint of dead rat.
Dead rat lattes.
No, I had not seen this film.
Oh,
At
shit.
no point in my past or future or present.
Future Tom.
I know it was a real eye-opening experience for old Future Tom.
I'm so curious to know what you thought because here's what I'll say about this movie. This is the first time I watched the film not high. That said, I've watched this film like 10 times. Just never sober.
That's very interesting considering what the movie's about.
I know. Well, the movie's a fucking trip. It's the rotoscoping. Did you ever see Waking Life?
No.
So you never saw the Linklater rotoscope films?
Nope.
Waking Life is the hand-drawn version. This is obviously done through a computer. It looks kind of like a PlayStation cutscene now, but you can tell it's more artful.
Yeah.
It's artful. It's an artful version of that. It takes place in the future, obviously, and there's a drug called Substance D, and it's kind of about the war on drugs, right? It's about Keanu Reeves plays a narc. He is an undercover agent who is living in this drug house.
So undercover that he wears this piece of future technology, which we're all familiar with, that it's like a camouflage suit, a scramble suit. It just constantly flashes between different pictures of different people all over his body.
It's so fucking cool.
And his name is Fred, but it's like Donnie Brasco, but so deep cover that he's so drug addicted that he forgets that he's himself. Like they task him with investigating himself, and he forgets that's what he's doing.
Yes.
Like he just thinks he is Fred, and in fact he's this guy named Robert. What was it? It's Proctor. It was like a strange last name. Anyway,
I don't know. This is based off of Philip K. Dick.
It sure is.
Story. Yeah.
And it ends with a Philip K. Dick quote that is haunting.
Yes, it is. It is
Not much help
it
to
is
us here in the
so-
future. It's already pretty haunting. We have
Yeah,
a rat queen.
The cast of this movie is phenomenal, in my opinion, because
True.
it's all people who very realistically A-list actors who also feel like drug addicts, and some of them, in fact, were at one point. It's got fucking what's his name, Rory Cochrane? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Cochrane.
The dude from Deadpool.
He's in Deadpool.
I'm pretty
I think of
sure
him
he's
as,
in Deadpool.
I think of him as Empire Records and Dazed and Confused, right? He's
Yeah,
the stoner in
that's
Dazed and
right. Yeah,
Confused.
that's right.
And he's the dad in Oculus. He is one of
That's
I
right.
think, yeah, he's one of the more underrated actors in my opinion. He is so fucking weird, and he's like a character actor. He does
Yeah, he
weird
plays
ass.
weirdos.
Yeah, he's in it playing the most like tweaked out drugger.
Right. The guy who's
druggy.
used so much of what's it called, Compound D or
Yeah.
Substance
And
D?
then
Substance D. I'm
Substance
sorry.
D. And then of course Woody Harrelson, who you know,
Right. Yeah.
he's Woody Harrelson. Winona Ryder,
he's
who
the
again,
he's the Willie Nelson of Woody Harrelsons.
exactly. Winona Ryder, who just seems high. And then Robert Downey Jr., who's perfect for like a
Yeah.
tweaker speed guy.
He is a maniac in this movie.
So good.
Yeah, he's really
and
great.
then Keanu Reeves, which I think is perfect to play a narc. When you think about it, he's scruffy,
He's
but then
really
when you look
good in this
closer,
movie.
he's muscular. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a perfect narc. Yeah, he's really good. I really like this movie.
Yeah, it's
Did
pretty,
you like this movie?
I did. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. This movie is, and of course, Alex Jones.
Yep,
Folks,
Alex Jones
who
gets
is in this movie.
tased and black bagged, thrown into a van at least.
Yeah.
So. But yes, Alex
Yeah, and I
Jones
was like,
is
good for him.
1,000%
Good for
in
him.
this movie.
Yeah, he has a cameo. It is I don't know, man. Morally speaking, he shouldn't be in this movie, but it is a good use of Alex Jones as an Alex Jones type. This is a world where Alex Jones is, I guess, correct.
Well, it's certainly a version of the future in which he hasn't already been eaten by rats.
Yeah. Also, for the record, I mean, it's not really a defense, but this is 2006, so this is before Alex Jones was. I mean, he was still despicable, but this was before he was like Sandy Hook denials despicable, where like, you know, I can see him seeming like a novelty in 2006. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's true.
It's-
I think he was still kind of a joke in 2006. That's how he's used here. Like, this is not
Yeah.
a flattering depiction of Alex Jones. Like, it's Keanu's walking down the street in like one of the worst fugues that he experiences because his reality is breaking down. That's the premise of the film in generally.
Yeah.
And he's having a really hard time at this moment. And he's just living in a tweaker pad with Robert Downey Jr. and Woody Harrelson, and Robert Downey Jr. is just in his ear constantly motor mouthing about these bizarre conspiracies. And so he's questioning his own reality, and he's thinking about all these conspiracies, and then he sees a guy across the street who is a known crackpot, Alex Jones, and he's shouting crackpot shit through a megaphone on a street corner, and yet a black van full of clearly like SWAT guys or agents or something leaps out and tases him and throws him inside. So it's like, is he right? Like it's all meant to show his questioning of reality. So it's not like a flattering depiction of Alex Jones, at least.
No, because the idea of substance D really fucks your brain. And I really like how they do the drug because I've hung out with a lot of speed freaks. I've hung out with a lot of stoners. And what I really like about the way they do this drug is it's kind of a combo where like these conversations start snowballing in a way where you feel like you're going nuts listening to the conversation.
Yeah. Because
it's a dystopian noir film. It's also just kind of a stoner film at times where they're just sitting around talking. And their conversations, like the 18-speed bike scene, I love, where Robert Downey Jr. comes in and he's just like, I just got an 18-speed bike for $50. And he's so excited about it. And then they're like, I only count like half the gears.
Yeah, 9 speeds.
9 speeds. And he's just like, oh, those fuckers. You know, they were working on the bike. They probably left the gears. They're just lying there in the garage. And then, you know, they sold it and they're like, we got to go out there and we got to go get like the other gears. And he's
back.
like, but you know, they're going to sell me them. That's the grift. And it keeps snowballing into this like weird conversation It's the same later where they think they find a joint that someone smoked in the house, and it snowballs into them talking about like the logistics of selling the house.
Right, because
And
they've
they're
been
like,
found out.
Right, and both times you notice like they take the drugs earlier, and you're watching the drugs like kind of slowly take hold.
Yeah.
And so their conversations just get weirder and weirder as they're
More
talking.
paranoid and dangerous.
More paranoid, because like the first thing we see is the Roy Cochrane character thinking there's aphids all over him, and he's spraying himself, he's washing the dog, and he goes out and they show these little thought bubbles, right? I love the idea of the cop pulling him over and not remembering the Miranda rights, so he just blows his head off.
Yeah.
Is his fantasy.
Yeah.
And so you're showing the paranoia, right? Like this idea of like these are his little like fantasies of like what's going to happen. And I think that's the idea of what's happening to Keanu, right? Is like he slowly starts living out those paranoid fantasies
Right.
as the movie goes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's also about. I mean, I think the fact that it's animated is part of that, right? Like it's
Right.
the idea is like this is they describe it as like you're the two sides of your brain, logistical and like the creative or whatever, at war with each other.
Right.
And one trying to fill in the gap. So it's like this quasi real but also animated look. It's like the feeling sort of being on a little bit of the drug.
Yeah, it's very good because it's kind of it's almost Fear and Loathing with its drug sequences. Although I would say it's
The conversations they have are very Fear and Loathing.
very Fear and Loathing, and then like little things where it's like when the shots are happening, like they sort of like everybody's a little warpy, right? And like the angles are a little off
Little Dr.
because
Katz.
because it's the drugs, and then and it's just like when they deal with the scramble suit later, when he's like looking at the scramble suit and it starts scrambling into really weird shit, is such a good, because the scramble suit alone makes you feel like you're on drugs, but it's supposed to be a real technology. But then later when the drugs are like fucking his brain, the scramble suit looks weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
Which is really great. It's hard to describe the scramble suit other than to say that it's the suit where like all the quadrants of your body are constantly changing identities. And not just like your head is changing. It's like there's like 6 quadrants of the head changing at
so
any
like
given moment.
your kneecap will be constantly flashing between different people's kneecaps.
Yeah, exactly. And like your right eye.
Every
will be-
point of
yeah.
your body. Yeah.
It's so fucking cool.
It's wild. Yeah. Obviously the other thing that this movie is really heavy on, which turned out to be pretty prescient, although I'm not sure how much it helped us against the Rat Queen, is the level of state surveillance.
Yeah. Because it's kind of about the war on drugs, right? And it's about...
I think it's about 9/11, right? It's the war on terror, but it's using the war on drugs as the I guess the metaphor for it. Well, not really metaphor, but you understand what I'm saying.
Right. Because the thing is that all the fucking people, again,
Everybody
this is why it's
takes the
kind of a stoner
drug.
film. Everybody takes the drug, but all of the people that he's like, they have all this technology, they've bugged the house, and there is a plot reason for this later that we'll get to, but like they're just stoners, like they're just losers, where you're like, why are they using all this technology to deal with these people? Like they never seem like Robert Downey Jr. is so good in this because he's such a fucking loser. And he talks like Robert Downey Jr. He talks like he's fucking Iron Man, right? Like everything he says, he's like so smart. He's talking with that confidence.
But it's
of
bullshit. It's
but
like
it's all
crazy
bullshit.
bullshit. Yeah.
And he's so incompetent where he's like, he makes a silencer and he's talking about it with this confidence, and then it doesn't work. And he's like, oh, I simply augmented the sound instead of muffling it. I can fix this. Like everything again, it's like fucking Iron Man talking about his tech, only it's just a fucking drug addict who's just like he's making firing guns off in the backyard. Yeah.
They're all like in different levels of delusion because of this drug.
Yeah. It's a very like, again, the cast is so perfect.
Yeah, I remember when we used to be
Robert
able to
Downey
make
Jr.
movies. All of the actors are rat food now.
Yeah. Especially Robert Downey Jr. He went out hard.
Yeah, he did. He took a lot of rats with him.
Yeah. But so Keanu is answering to Hank, which is his superior, who's, again, they're all in a scramble suit because the idea is they're so paranoid that like they don't want to know who anybody is. So
Right,
all we
so
know
the-
is Keanu is.
So they put him on surveilling himself. Although this sort of gets is not
And
actually.
Hank is even saying like, I don't know who you are. For all you know, you are.
You are the
know.
guy we're putting you on to investigate, and in fact, he
Yeah,
is.
which is-
So there's a little
yeah.
bit. They sort of undo it later because there's an overall plan where this is being intentionally done to him to scramble his brain enough so that he can be like an inside agent to where they grow the substance D.
Yes. That's what we learn is so the
Yeah.
spoilers. Hank is Winona Ryder, and there's a good scene where he determined. I think Keanu's name is Archer. I want to say Arctur, where there's a scene where Hank goes like, "I figured out your Arctur," because you can actually because Robert Downey Jr. tries to narc,
Right,
'cause
and
a
he's
real
in there
piece of
with
shit.
them, so they know he's not. Barris is his name.
Yeah, and Hank knows it's not Donna because I am Donna. I'm Winona Ryder. So like there's that process of elimination slowly. But the other reveal is that Winona Ryder's character, this is all like a deep cover where she knew it was him from the
The
start.
whole time, yeah, he was picked for this.
Because what we learn about is there's something called fucking what is it called? Something New Path. New Path is the recovery company.
It's the Betty
And this
Ford
is sort of
clinic,
an-
basically.
Yeah, this is sort of an observation on the war of drugs. Is like what you learn is that they're also distributing the drug.
They're the people that
So-
are making the drugs, so that people will then come to their facility.
So the plan is that they actually Keanu Reeves, who's a narcotics agent, they're getting him so addicted to the drugs on purpose that they can throw him under the bus. Because what happens is he gets so addicted to the drug that they basically call him out and say like, "Listen, you can't do this anymore. We have to send you to New Path." But what they're doing is they're essentially like frying his fucking brain, hoping that he will, while in New Path, because New Path only allows people who are so fried that they don't realize what is
What
happening
they're doing,
there.
yeah. Which is
So they're hoping that
growing this
some, like,
plant.
Yeah, remaining spark of his
Because they keep
in his brain
because they
will-
keep repeating tiny blue flowers to him throughout the movie. Like they they
Right.
Truman show him with this shit.
yeah.
Everybody suggests, like one of them weirdly suggests bringing tiny blue flowers. It's like then they all use that specific phrase, so you notice it. It's sort of like the "Would you kindly" in BioShock. So like when
Yeah.
it gets to the end of the movie, they're like, you realize that was the entire plan. They were banking on if we repeat this phrase to him enough as something he should bring to his friends, he will bring one of the if they are indeed growing the plants at the New Path facility like we suspect, he will remember this thing and pick a flower up and bring
Right,
it.
he doesn't know why.
And he won't maybe not even understand why. He'll just have that memory, and that's what happens.
That's what happened. You can't tell at the end if he's really fried or not. Where they're talking, they bring him out to do like the outdoor stuff at New Path, and he's just like, they're like, you get lots of fresh air here, and he's like, it's just like, I like fresh air, and he's like, there's mountains, and he's like, I like mountains, and that's all he's saying. Like he's just really agreeable and fried, and then he finds the flowers and picks them, and he goes like a gift for my friends. In 3 months when he gets to be visited. So yeah, like you kind of get this feeling of like it feels like he sort of knows, but it's ambiguous, right?
It's unclear, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
and
any
the whole
Philip
world
K. Dick story. I'm not sure how close this is to the actual story, but I'm
It's
sure
hard
that,
to
I'm
tell,
sure the
yeah.
themes were probably the same.
for sure. I know there was the part where the botched suicide where it's all narrated over the radio, which is so fucking good. I think that's straight from the book, which is the character Rory Cochrane's
His
character.
name
What is his character?
Fex, I think, or
Donna,
Feck.
yeah, Donna Arctur. Let's see. Barris is Robert Downey Jr. Charles Freck.
Freck.
That's
There it is.
Yeah, and the basically he's like hanging out at home, and the fucking radio starts narrating his own suicide to him, and he just carries it out, but he wants like a good wine to kill himself with to down these pills, and then like has his own little adventure with that, and then ends up hallucinating like a creature that just reads all his misdeeds back to him.
Yeah.
It's a really weird.
Yeah, it's. I was getting to it earlier. We started talking about other aspects, but like a lot of this movie feels very like Brazil. in
Yeah.
terms of the level of paranoia and surveillance at state surveillance.
Well, again, it's every level, right? Because
Right.
they're paranoid too. Like Robert Downey Jr. essentially is also trying to bug the house.
Yeah, he just doesn't
and doing
do it
these
right.
elaborate gambits. Yeah, that's such a good scene. So they go out. The car gets fucked up and refuses to brake, and they almost die on the highway. And then they're going home. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, we're going to find out who's going to get us because I like trapped the house and I'm going to like record them when they come through the door. It'll like trigger this thing that'll record it. And he's like, well, how do you know they'll go through the front door? And he's like, because I kept it unlocked. I unlocked the front door and I put a note that's in the back door that says front door is unlocked. So to trap people, he's essentially just making the house just unprotected.
Yeah, he left
which
the
is
door
very-
unlocked and a note on the door.
This slow progression of like his plan is so dumb, and then they go in and they're like, then that's when they find the joint, and they're like, oh my god, they're setting us up. They're gonna come in right now and bust us. And of course, Robert Downey Jr.'s surveillance equipment doesn't work, so they become like ultra paranoid, and that's when they're like, we got to sell the house, even though he thinks the SWAT team's going to come in like a minute. And then they start talking about like the logistics of selling the house. And then Winona Ryder comes in and goes, I came in like the note said. What's wrong with you guys? Assuming the note was for her, because why would it
You're right.
be? It's
the
so
same,
good.
It's the same kind of thing as the upper level stuff of where he's investigating himself. It's like so absurd. And the
Exactly. And they
paranoia is
scramble
such
suits
that
and-
the paranoia is so extreme that he can't even tell his boss like I'm him. Like I'm him. Like it's not.
Yeah. And everybody's kind of like the part with Woody Harrelson choking is so intense, where Woody Harrelson starts choking and Keanu Reeves is watching it on surveillance footage and is just like watching as Robert Downey Jr. does nothing to help him, which is such a weird, haunting scene. And then he just like slowly, casually gets up and calls the EMT.
And he's still
and
on the phone call to 911. He's still being that same bullshit, like trying to sound like he knows. Like he's like, I'm not sure if he's like choking or if it's some sort of like thrombose. Like he's still trying to sound really smart, like he's on top of it. But it's like you're. Like
It's such a good use of Robert Downey.
It really
Jr. because
is.
He's
so,
such a fucking weird sociopath.
Yeah, he's
in this.
so unlikable. He's such a good villain.
Yeah. And then at the end, he keeps trying to narc, and he brings in like fake audio of Keanu Reeves, and then you realize like Hank doesn't believe him for a second because Hank is Winona Ryder. So like at the end, they're just like he's full of shit.
And we're also
and
not
they
even
just
sure.
arrest him.
They do things where we're seeing the movie from Keanu's perspective, so that's the only, for the most part. There's one scene at the end. So for the most part, it's all from his point of view. And at one point, he's doing that test where the only point of the test is like, hey, they're showing him basically flashcards that have a bunch of horizontal lines, but there's spaces in them, and the negative space makes out a picture, like it'll look like a Coke bottle or a giraffe.
Right.
And he's just supposed to look at the picture and tell them what the image is. It's a way to test how his brain is holding up under all this drug abuse. And he sees, and therefore we see these cards as one thing, and then the people giving him the test are reacting as if it's totally different. And then as the scene changes, the image on the card changes. So it's like when Barris, Robert Downey Jr., comes in and plays that audio, it to us and to Keanu, it just sounds like a conversation that totally happened. It does not sound like a faked recording. So we don't even know if that's what the movie has done enough that we don't know if that's actually what it sounded like.
Oh yeah, I mean, at one point, the people giving the test change.
Yes.
The doctors become different people.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this feeling of like, as the movie gets on, as the drugs take over his brain, you just can't tell.
Right, and the woman he
what's real.
slept with changes from that woman Connie into Winona Ryder, and it does so on the surveillance tape too when he goes back and looks at it. That was really trippy.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
because you get this feeling that Winona Ryder's character did care about him.
Yeah,
but is still doing what she does
to the degree that she feels bad about what they're doing to him. I think. I don't think she like personally likes him. That like she has as his.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole thing is he keeps being like, why can't I have sex with her? She's my girlfriend and she never wants to have sex with me. And the reason why is like she's undercover.
Right.
Like that's actually the reason why.
And then Robert Downey Jr. throws a hint that he has also tried hitting on her as well.
Yes.
And it's
because he does it in the most scumbag way where he's like, I'll have you know that it's not just him, it's any guy.
Other males
and he's
as well,
saying it in this very confident way of like, how could she have said no to me, you know?
Yeah.
It's really, they do a really good job with, and I feel like Fear and Loathing does this too. And for the record, I love drugs. So like,
sure.
And so like obviously addiction can be a horrible disease. So the movie isn't making fun of addicts. That's sort of the point. And I think it's the idea of like the paranoia
the idea
of these
behind the Philip
drug
K. Dick
addicts
quote at the end, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the paranoia of these drug addicts sort of like it's the idea of a microcosm for the larger system, right? Is like it's all these levels of paranoia and like rat fucking and everybody screwing each other over. Like Robert Downey Jr. fucking letting Woody Harrelson choke is like it's basically the government sacrificing Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah.
Or not the government, but the narcs are.
Yeah.
I guess it is the government.
It is the government.
And not knowing what's real and what's not and stuff. But they do a very good, and Fear and Loathing does this too, where it's like kind of the drug addicts like really thinking they're like that blind confidence that like, and they're just
so
coming
great.
off like a maniac to someone else.
Yeah.
They do that a few times. That's great. And Robert Downey Jr. is just so good with that, where it's like he's acting so fucking like I'm in control. Everybody loves me. I'm Robert Downey Jr. I'm like he has that Tony Stark attitude, but then what he's saying and doing is so terrible,
Right.
that it's such a good fucking mix.
Yeah. He's like a cult leader almost.
Yeah. It's he's such a good actor.
He is.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
They're all
it's a
very
shame what
good.
the rats did to him.
it is. And Keanu Reeves again. It's a very good use of Keanu Reeves because
Yeah. Solid
he
deployment
has,
of
like-
everyone involved.
yeah, I do want to talk about the bigger meaning and like what the name is and what. Should we talk about the technology in the world first?
Sure.
And see if there's anything that can help us.
I
'cause
think
it
those
takes
scatter
place-
suits might help. Not for too long though. We would just look like a different
Yeah,
person
okay.
for the Rat Queen to kill.
That's the problem. The Rat Queen, they're just still gonna eat us no
true.
matter what.
It's true.
This takes place 7 years from now, which I believe is 2013, right? Because it came out in 2006.
Sure did.
In Anaheim, California. It's got Anaheim energy.
Yeah, big Anaheim.
Like we
energy.
said,
Big Disneyland.
it's war on-
big Disney bounders in this film. They're all Disney bounders.
Yeah. It's a world with slave labor, basically. This company that's figured out how to do that through the drug addicts. The style, it's all modern style, right? The junkie wear is great, but it's all modern. The only thing I noticed is he has like an Apple Watch at one point, which I was like, oh, you nailed it.
And I mean, all of the surveillance.
Yeah, in terms of technology, we never got a scramble suit. We should get one.
We should.
I
We should
love
look
that you
around
can
in
like.
the ruins for one.
I like that you can like go live in it. Like he can talk internally in the suit,
Yeah,
which is
It's
cool.
like a little Iron Man suit.
Yeah. We got that cool drug, Substance D.
Yeah,
seems
that
fun.
could help us out right now. It'd be a nice boon for us, like these bones,
Yeah.
like that skeleton.
The cell phone tracking stuff is pretty. Like you said, I love the idea that they're putting so much resources into just like a couple of dirt bags talking.
And what seems to be at first, the Brazil portion of it, into investigating themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Investigating
video-
their own undercover operation.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this movie, and this movie was 2006, so it's not the 90s, but we're seeing the birth of something I know I've talked about, which is like, I think Marvel movies are the biggest offender of this, which is the assumption that holograms were going to be really obtainable and easy.
Right, and practical.
And they do that. Yeah, they do that in this too, where he has a hologram. That's like the big.
It's like, I mean, we had like in the 80s, everybody was obsessed with the video phone. It's like, why wouldn't you think that
Right.
we would just do that? Like we have FaceTime. Why the fuck do I want a hologram?
It's-
Other than the
it's-
fact
yeah.
that they are awesome. And
It's
a
kind of the
hologram
video
would really
phone.
liven this place up nicely with the bones.
Oh, I'd love. Well, we could do something with the bone dust or something. Figure out a hologram.
We might be able to find that Kanye hologram somewhere.
That's true. But those holograms were never holograms. That's the thing.
True.
We haven't really done holograms the way movies want them to be. We go look it up. It's never been. We've never really had holograms.
And we can tell you
movies really seem to
from
think.
the far distant future of 2023, we never got them. We never got
No,
holograms.
we just got rats.
We got so many rats. I wish they were holograms, but they're not.
The other cute 90s thing from this movie, and I think this was also in Back to the Future, is barcode license plates that they do, which I just think is an adorable idea because what they're implying is that we need license plates that computers can read.
Yeah, they're implying that it can be scanned. They just didn't foresee. Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. They didn't foresee the fact that you could just do that with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like computers can now read numbers just fine.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
But the idea is the same. Like they understood it. That was a correct prediction, even though not exactly correct. It's like a butterfly effect correct, where it's slightly different, but still basically the same.
Yeah. And then you talked about Robert Downey Jr.'s phone thing. If that is in fact what he played back, because they say it's a fake on a home computer, that means they sort of predicted deep fakes a little bit then, right?
Maybe.
It would be it may be. Again, it depends on the drugs.
We don't know like I said, we don't know if that's actually what it sounded like. It may have sounded hilariously obvious.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, don't edit this together later to say I killed Earl Milford.
Yeah. That's all I flagged with, like, I don't think any of that can be used for the rat.
I mean, the substance D can definitely be used, Dave.
If anything, we can take it.
Exactly. Not everything. We might not be able to destroy this future, Dave. We may just have to live in it and hope that something, maybe our dispatches to the past have had some effect. I don't know if we're going to find the killer bullet here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Silver
Future
bullet.
Tom. Yeah, a killer bullet is also, that would be.
Listen, all of the rat smoke in here is affecting my ability to find words.
It's our own substance, D, really.
It really
yeah,
is.
We've been smoking out of the skull. We haven't been smoking weed. We've been smoking rats.
Oh, no, none of that survived.
Yeah, no.
Our drugs are all derivatives of rat. They're all rat-based. We have a rat-based vice now.
So when he says, what does the scanner see? Does it see us clearly or darkly? And the name of this is the scanner darkly. And it's a reference to, like, the technology, right?
Right. I think the story is called Through a Scanner Darkly.
Yeah. What does that all mean? In relation to the drugs and stuff, I had my own thought of it.
I think it's all about perception, but yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It's all about what is reality, right? Because he's talking about, like, how will the scanners see us ultimately? And I think the thing is that he's watching, like, a big part of this movie is him watching himself through the surveillance cameras. Mm-hmm. And this idea of, like, the things he saw at the time because of the drugs. Because it is a big part of this movie because it is about, like, the paranoia, the war on terror, all that.
And
but it's also about... Yeah, but it's also about perception of like the drugs are fucking with their perception, right? And the scanners should, in theory, see everything objectively, is the idea.
Right.
We're under this surveillance state now because of the war on drugs.
But I think what it's...
Or in the war on terror in real life. And the question is, of course, like...
I think...
What will all of that surveillance see in us?
Right, and I think the point there that Philip K. Dick may have been trying to make is that it's not objective. Like it may capture it objectively because it's a machine, but it doesn't matter. It's all in how it's interpreted.
Yep, and what it's capturing.
Right.
Like if you're doing a war on drugs, you're only really going to see people on drugs, right?
Yeah.
You're only going to see the war on terror. It's the things that are going to be saved, and so it's sort of that, like. The things that get saved throughout history and from the surveillance state is going to be like a really bleak view of humanity. And this idea, like Philip K. Dick, of course, loves the idea of artificial intelligence. And like, is this how humanity will be seen by other entities or by an intelligence higher than us? That they don't really explore that idea, but
too much. Just the conceptual idea of it, of the nature of reality and how one person sees one thing. Maybe that's a really, really old thought experiment. It's like, what if what you see as orange is totally different than what I'm looking at?
Right. And there's no way.
It's impossible to know. You can't ever know.
Yeah, we've eaten so many rat eyes.
Eaten so many rat eyes, Future Dave.
Yeah.
I'm wearing
not
some.
seeing
I
anything
made contact lenses out of rat eyes, and that didn't even help.
Yeah.
I'm wearing rat lenses now. My eyes are horribly infected. I'm mostly blind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
But this is how the rats see. This is the future that we made, and if we're unable to stop this from happening, then maybe it's my lot. Maybe that's the price I pay, is to wear rat eyes.
Right.
Plus, I can blend in. I think I can blend in. Maybe the rat queen doesn't see so well.
Yeah. We'll find out. We've been sharpening bones this whole time to go finally take the rat queen, and hopefully get some more rat fuel is the plan. But we'll see. We'll see. If you hear no broadcast from us, that means we were murdered by the rat queen.
Yeah, that means we fell. We fell trying to collect rats and ran afoul of the rat queen. But please know that we met our end triumphantly and without tears in our eyes.
Of course not.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no,
certainly not me. I think my tear ducts are fused.
Yeah.
I think they've all scabbed over completely.
Of course. But yeah, and so like I don't know if this movie's trying to say something completely solid.
No,
right?
I think it's just
like.
Oh, go ahead.
Its observation on the war of drugs is obviously very because the like you look at fentanyl, right? And that's kind of our substance D right now. Who caused fentanyl? It was the fucking pharmaceutical companies, right?
Yeah.
Creating this like dependency, creating this problem. So it's sort of about that cycle of the war on drugs, which is that we use the war on drugs to justify heavy surveillance and xenophobia and all these other things when the call is coming from inside the house, right? And this is a very direct version of New Path being, sinister, like completely sinister about it, which I would say that so are the pharmaceutical companies.
1,000%, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously it's a little more complex. The system that happens, with fentanyl, but it's the same basic principle, which is like, and the same with the war on terror, right? Which is like, how do these terrorist factions happen? It's like, I don't know. Let's look into who trained them. Let's look into who's destabilizing these countries. So it's all that idea of this like cycle.
And then with it so focused on external, and it's like, well, maybe domestic terrorism is at an all-time high in the distant year of alternate 2023.
Right, and it's this cycle and this addiction that you could also say the war on drugs is that, and of course being on drugs is that, and so it's like trying to make the observation that it almost feels like the title of Scanner Darkly and the surveillance stuff almost feels secondary to what they're actually saying. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think this movie is just a lot of observations that I think are very good and correct about a lot of things, but they're not terribly deep observations. It's
kind of just a mesh.
Right. Yeah. Which is totally fine. It's totally valid for a piece of art to do. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's the art's job is not necessarily to answer questions. It's to give you new perspectives.
It's sort of a spiritual sequel to Waking Life, because Waking Life is a series of conversations about reality and like it's kind of a coffee and cigarettes. So for that reason, it's kind of the duller version of this movie. Like Waking Life, I only saw once because it was interesting, but it was sort of just like people talking. And this is like the more, I guess, cynical version of that, where this is also people talking, but has a few more layers and a bit more of a plot. But God, I fucking, this might be my favorite Linklater film.
I think so. I mean, I like School of Rock a lot, but
yeah, I like Dazed and Confused, but I've never been
a huge Dazed and Confused fan.
I watched that a bunch as a kid, like back when I, was like a stupid kid. We watched Dazed and Confused a bunch, me and my friend, and that one was fun. I liked the hangoutness of it. I liked the idea of it's like just one night in the 70s, kids hanging out. But obviously, like, it's the 70s. I didn't really like. It didn't like speak to me.
It's not like a nostalgia point for you.
Yeah, exactly. But this movie is just so fucking, I don't know, just so well put together, so fucking
It's very
weird
excellent.
and haunting.
Yeah, this is an excellent film.
I don't want to call it underrated, but I feel like it's like
I feel like
when
it's
people talk about like drug movies
sort of
and like Fear and
forgotten,
Loathing. Yeah, it's like this kind of feels like it deserves to be in that conversation more, because it's such a cool fucking movie.
It
And
is,
it's
yeah.
underrated in that the cast, like it's Robert Downey Jr. Listen, he has all the money, and he did until the rats got him. But like, and 10 years of Iron Man, I think people have forgotten like roles like this where it's like, God damn, like he's so fucking good. He's good as Iron Man. Don't go.
He is.
Get me
That's
wrong.
why Marvel
But-
is what it is because of him.
Yeah, but it's like it's just that one flavor for so long that
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
oh right, I love
Right.
these
He
other
can do
flavors.
other things.
And that's kind of everybody in this, which is like, it's that reminder with Keanu Reeves, where it's like, I love John Wick, but like, man, he used to like, I don't know, he used to do weird shit.
do other
Like this
things.
is so cool and weird. He can do other things. I mean, not that many other things, but
No, but
and I
he
guess-
has and can.
Yes, he was in Replicas.
He
you
sure
know?
was, Dave.
But like, I liked him. Devil's Advocate. He's fun. I like him in The Gift.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's just like even actors who aren't necessarily that gifted, I want to say. I don't want to insult Keanu Reeves. He's doing his thing. I just like that there were still eras where people were doing weird shit,
Yeah.
And this is such a cool movie. It also was probably low production. Like I read that Robert Downey Jr. had all his lines on Post-it notes throughout the room.
Where'd you read that?
Because they could, because they could just rotoscope them out.
No. I mean, where did you read? Where did you find things to read?
Oh, I think there was some IMDb trivia, but I also have the DVD.
How did it survive the Holocaust? Is what I'm asking. Oh, this is all stuff you committed to memory before the end, before the fall.
Yes, honestly,
And
yes.
the before. I got you.
But I carve them on bones too every now and
That's
then.
why,
Now,
man. They're so good for that. We've got so much written down on these here bones.
yeah. I'm making my own internet movie, Data Bones, is what I'm calling it.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Future Dave.
Yeah, if we give it to
And we should
anybody.
reopen this place as Hollybone Video.
Hollywood Video. Yeah,
Yep, we nailed
Yeah.
it.
yeah. But yeah, the point being that I think the rotoscoping probably cost a lot, but the production, it's like, oh, we need to get, it needs to be set in this location. It's kind of like green screen, right? Where they can just like add some shit rotoscoping. And so it's like a kind of a cool idea of like how to do certain effects, right? Where it's like,
Oh, sure, definitely for all the hallucination type stuff.
yeah, because it looks seamless and it doesn't. It's kind of a timeless film because of how it was made.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's never going to look cheesy because everything fits its own world. So like there isn't like a CGI thing that stands out at any point, even though there's plenty of CGI in this, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's a very slick film. And it's like surprisingly, like it doesn't feel dated, I guess is my point.
It's hard for
At
anything
least not too
to
much.
feel dated where we are, but yeah, that's true.
Well,
that's
yeah,
true.
that's true.
It's. I enjoyed this final treat. Hopefully, it helped. We didn't learn too
I
much
don't-
from it. Maybe you guys can hide us some Substance D. We
Maybe
can
we
find
can
it in
stick
the future.
Tape bones on us or something. that
Leave
look
your
like a scramble suit.
Make sure when the end comes to hide yourself somewhere good so that we might be able to find your skeleton. Like just really everybody.
Wait! You know what I hear?
What's that?
You know what I hear? When the apocalypse happens, maybe, you know what you guys should do is go to Hollywood Video.
Yes.
And just hang out there. All right, hold on. Oh yeah, it worked. There's so many
Oh
skeletons outside
man!
now.
Oh shit!
Yep.
It was like The
Oh,
Shining
thank
when
you
the
all.
blood came out of the elevator.
Yeah. We are in Bone
We
City
are
now.
knee deep in bone wealth, Future Dave.
We're basically the richest people.
Yeah.
We're Robert Downey Jr. rich now.
We're bonionaires.
Bonionaires. And we're going to sharpen these bones and we're going to fight the Rat Queen.
We can make a car out of these bones.
Yeah, and we're going to get more rat fuel. And maybe in the future we will broadcast some more. We didn't fix the future, but we at least got a lot more
We got
bones.
way more bones, though. Thank you all for your lovely
Arc.
bones.
Arc complete. Story arc complete for now. To be continued, question mark.
Maybe Back to
Yeah.
the Future font.
Yep. Dun, 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 dun. Bones.
That's a rat queen, Murray. You're
Is
gonna
that
drink
it?
rat blood.
Oh, are you done talking about Scanner Darkly?
Yeah.
Okay. In the past, we had a Patreon.
We
that
did.
You might want to check out. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. There's exclusive podcasts. There was called Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Future Hour, Spiel Boys. We did custom podcast episodes. We did custom We Just Watched. We used to watch movies every Friday night. Remember those times?
Yeah, every Friday night.
Before the dark times?
We
Yeah.
watched so many great movies with our lovely patrons
Yeah, we did. So check all that out.
in the past. Well, it still exists.
In the past.
We also had a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you could find a link to our Teespring store where we had all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you could get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of stuff. So slap your past tense peepers onto those before the rats come.
And mail us bones. Mail us bones. Mail us bones.
Mail
and also,
bones.
thank
Mail
you
bones.
to
Oh, what?
Marco.
Oh, obviously.
Thank you once again to Marco for your skull, for your bones.
Mm-hmm.
We just need more. So yeah, more bones, please.
Do it.
All the bones,
Send them.
please. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.